Hello, welcome to my new show, You Throughout the Years. Here we will have conversations with ordinary persons like you and me. Everyone has a story, either good or bad, funny or sad. So come and reminisce with us as we find out how those years have shaped your life. Well, I'm so happy to introduce to you my very good friend, Dave. Dave, can you introduce yourself to us?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dave Brathwaite. I used to live in Barbados, but now I live in the currently cold. Pretty much, I left Barbados about 4 years ago, and to our new way of life, and new start. Had to start over life from virtually from scratch. And but so far so good. Everything seems to be going on track. So really can't complain.
Okay. So as I have started every other show, I will ask you too, what was the first thing you can remember about your life?
Wow. And I will have to say about around three. Yeah, about around 3 years old.
So three is when you can say you know about Dave.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. When did they tell you that you started to walk and talk?
My family was telling me that I only start speaking about round three as well too. So around that time.
And walking at three?
Walking, I was walking. I was up and down. And funny enough, because of where I lived, where I was raised, sorry, I didn't live where I raised. So, and I will move from one place to the next.
So now we are going to move from the toddler age and go to 4, 5, 6, even to 11. That whole decade of being a child. What
Mm.
what did Dave do? Were you a naughty child? Were you a handful? How was Dave at that time?
Um, to be quite frankly, the only part that was kind of challenging was I have a impairment, which a lot of people don't really know, and some people don't believe it, but people that were close to me knows that I have this speech impairment. And I stammer a lot, especially when I was younger, due to my father. My father had the same issue, and I seems to be slipping back to it more often than not now. But it's basically that once I take my time, then I can speak clearly. But if I'm too anxious, then it will act up. And with the speech impairment, obviously leads to people teasing you by how you speak. My last name at the time was Burkett, so people used to tease me about that too. And Dave was very, as my family would say, was very hard ears. Did a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing, and I was very on my way, doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but I could say that I was very free spirited, and I tried to do things that were not really the norm, and I practically just do it what I wanted to do. So you get brands you into a black sheep per sport. I call myself a black sheep, but yeah, it was pretty hard. There's still sweet, still cunning, still loving, but yeah, it was very hard. There's
How was it like at school? And as you said, you used to get teased about your speech. So how did that affect you in primary school?
well, to go back before primary school, we gotta go to nursery. I actually went to Grace Bible School, but Grace Bible School in Paddock Road, and that was my first way of interacting with children who was not my family. And I was very talkative. I was very troublesome. Used to get lashes on a regular, but I was still sweet. I was still very adventurous. Then from there, I went to St. Paul's Primary School, where I meet up with not only my family, but other extended family that I was now privy to. So that's where the teasing start, but not from everybody. It was only, I wouldn't say it was like a widespread, but it was one or two people. But you know, the person I am, I used to take it, used to, I used to roll with the punches. So if it affect me now, it wouldn't affect me tomorrow. So it was just basically that.
That is a good attitude for a child to have going through, bullying, you can say, criticism from children as yourself. Okay, so we left your childhood, and as you say, that naughty stage, and now we are going in your teenage years. So we are going to talk about 13 to 16.
Wow.
What type of trouble did you got in? Because it's the teenage years and we have a lot of up and down during this time. So what triumphs and failures did you have during your early teenage years?
Well, to be frank, what stopped me from giving a lot of trouble was when I first went into secondary school, which was St. James. Yeah, threats for life, threats for life, threats for life. And I would never forget my first vacation, Christmas vacation. I was going to go and play when my dad stopped me, asked me, "Where you going?" I was like, I was going to go and play. He's like, "No, you're not going to play. You're going to work inside this workshop. You're not getting into more trouble. You're going to work inside of here." And I did that from the time I left St. James. Every single vacation, my dad had me working in his shop, whether I like it or not. And that was the downside for me because I wanted to go and play, I want to go ramble with the boys, the girls. But on the plus side, I was getting paid. So my father paid me every week and I was making my own money. So I felt pretty independent, so to speak. And my troubles seemed to subside a lot And in school, I never really gave any trouble per se. You get into fights from time to time, as pre as pre teenagers. But my most problems in school was really me focusing on my schoolwork, which I did not do too well in my latter years in school, which I regretted. But pretty much I could say a pretty cool child. The thing is that the only problem that I had in school was in secondary school was I was a little bit too naive and a little bit too sheltered from certain things. It's because I, as teenagers, pretty everybody knew what they had an idea of what they wanted to do, rather than me was still searching for myself. So in school, people would ask me questions like, would ask teenagers what you want to do when you finish school, and I didn't. Anybody could have said I want to be a teacher, or I wanted to be working in a hotel, I want to be a policeman. But me, I couldn't really answer that question. I went searching till I made up in my mind that in the exam, in one of my sexy exams, I made up in my mind that I ain't gonna pass this exam. I ain't getting a CSCs totally. So I could as well make up in my mind that I can work inside my father's workshop and be the best at that. So that is exactly what I did.
Yes, and you see that sometimes everyone grows at their pace. So Dave from early set in his mind that he's not going to be able to achieve what he want at that time. But he had you could say a plan B, and he followed it. And you should always have a plan B, C, D, right down to Z, and then start again with a plan A1. So it is good that early in your teenage years you said, well, I will have different plans for your life. And it's good that your father put that, although you might have not liked it, but he put that responsibility in you. So yeah, we sometimes things happen and that we not like, but when we get older is when we really understand and appreciate it. Then we are going to 17, 18 to 20. So did you at this time interested with girls or friends?
Um, well, yes, I had a lot of interaction with females, especially in school. And I pretty much, well, for me, that was one of the causes of me not being successful in my school because I was chasing girls instead of chasing work. And but on the plus side, I took all of that information that that I got from being in these types of relationships to understanding what no no let me rephrase that, to have a certain understanding about the females and how they move and how they function with certain scenarios. And also it gave me an understanding of what type of woman I wanted to be in my life.
Yeah,
So
and that is good that you saw that even to 20, because you know they say when you are a teenager, especially your brain is not developed, especially as a male. You know, men mature slower than us women.
yeah, yeah. By far, by far, by far.
That, well, at least you admit it.
I mean, is the truth when you really look back at, if you really take time to analyze certain things, you'll realize that the girls back at school in your age range were dating guys that were way older than them, and the girls that were interested in you was much younger than you. So you could see the reason why that girls mature more quickly than the average, that girls mature more than boys. So
So we are going into your 20s, exciting time, because that's when you are viral. You know, you have all the power and stamina, you know, and you like to flex and do all the things men like to do. So, how was your 20s working? And or did you have more girls, or did you get serious? What life changing things did you do in your 20s?
well, my early 20s were not your typical all the girls and different things like that. My early 20s, I was at Polytechnic and I was doing auto body right after I left school, which was in 2000. So I left school I graduated at 17, and 2 weeks later, after I graduated, I turned 18 and went straight into Polytechnic. And I spent 3 years there. And at the time, I just had one girlfriend, and things were pretty much cool. So I was mostly studying about my school, trying to get this to pass my studies, which I did. But I came out of Polytechnic with certain knowledge that I took forward into working, which I went back to working with my dad.
Mhm.
And it was only at Polytechnic where I told myself that I wanted to do this type of specialty work, which was painting. And one day I was and working, and a guy asked me to paint his bonnet for him. So he gave me the gun, and I painted the bonnet for him because I was telling them about me painting. And when I finished painting, everybody was so amazed at how clean the work did that I even impressed myself. I was like, damn, Dave, there's you. Till everybody in the class was like, Dave, when my project finished, I want you paint it. And to make sure that I wasn't a fluke, I painted my project. And my instructor was like, you know, did you use a different stack? I was telling him no. He was upset that I didn't take that step because it would have made the job even look better. And it was at that time that I decided that I want to be a spray painter. And to be fair, as I told you before, I raised up in a body shop. From the 10 years of four, between 3 to 5, I
Mhm.
had a I had a sports car, toy car, and I was seeing the guys in my father's shop sanding these cars, so I took some same sandpaper and started sand my toy car, and I showed my dad, and my dad was like, "Hey, "Wow, you do this better than I actually." He was like, "This is very impressive for a 3 year old." So I just carried that along with me. And when I was working as in the tender age, 11, 12, in my father's shop, I was sanding cars. I was picking down cars. I was picking down and putting up cars by myself at 15. And I was picking down the front of a car by myself by 17. And when I mean the front of a car, I mean taking out headlights, radiator, air condition, and drilling off front chassis, you name it, I was doing it. And when I was in Polytechnic, I realized that I want to be a painter. So I realized that, you know, that doing the body work aspect, I knew it, but I wasn't doing it as well as I wanted to be. It was very challenging, and because it had to, I had a lot of what what the best way to describe it. There were challenges between myself and my dad when it comes to certain things. He wanted me to do it his way, while I wanted to do it my way. So there was a lot of clashing of heads. Till I said what I had to say, and he gave me the opportunity to do it. And from there, it was difficult because because I was my dad's son, I felt he put a lot of pressure on me. But I could say in the end I rise above it. And I try to gain as much knowledge that I could possibly can, because at that time I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into being one of the best painters that ever come out of Barbados. Some people will say that I am the best, but I know that there are at least 10 other guys out there that I cannot run with. But on my good day, I could keep up with them.
And I could tell you, he tells the truth. Okay, so your 20s were difficult times with family dynamics and trying to find your own space in life and the world, and being able to talk for yourself. So you went through this in your 20s. You found something else in your 20s that you could say that brighten your years.
Um, to be frank, I pretty much spent my 20s putting all my efforts into my career as a spray painter. Um, I I started really on my own about 23, 24, when one of my fathers and workers was like, "Hey, your son could paint. If you keep stressing out the boy, he's gonna keep on making mistakes. Your son could paint. Let him paint." And because my dad was always in my back, over my shoulder, making me nervous. Painting is a science. Spray painting is a science. It's a very, very technical field.
That is true.
So so I spent most of my 20s in developing myself career wise as a painter.
Dave, what did you do for fun in your 20s?
Well, believe it or not, when I say this, I grew up in the church. I was an altar server from the time it was 8 till it was 31. I was altar server. So throughout my whole throughout my whole life, my 20s, I was in the church in some capacity. So in my early 20s, I spent a lot of time around the youth group serving. So on Friday nights, when I finish work, come home, get my mom's car, we go to different churches throughout Barbados, different Anglican churches. And at one point, I think about around 2021, yeah, the group, our youth group, was building a chorale, and that branched out to making a cappella group with, at first it was like say 15 of the males till they break down to just six. And we were, although we were amateurs and most of the guys came out to St. Mary's Square, we I went to I'm still a member of St. Mary's Anglican Church. And there, some of the members were all the servers. The rest was choir, choir members. Although we could say we were amateurs, when we were on, we were like pros, and we had a very unique sound. And a cappella music is very, very difficult to. It's very difficult because you have no music, you have no background music, nothing. You're just using your raw voice, your raw voice. And if somebody's off, then everybody gonna be off. Then when I get 23, I left because my voice, I couldn't keep up with the demands of singing. And at that time we were fairly, could say, popular, if you want to call it. And when I mean popular, I mean like, and we won Gospel Fest Summer Voice competition, and which is now a popular a cappella group in Barbados. And right, so when I left the group, that's when I started to party. And I was partying then in between my singing and stuff like that. But after I left the group, when I had more time, that's when I get into my whole partying. So every Friday, I would be in some party. Every crop over time, I ain't part by four facts every single Saturday. And then when Club Extreme started, I always in Club Extreme.
Club.
Yeah, Club Extreme. When Jumbies open up, I was always in Jumbies. So I pretty much was partying, and then I started go rallying, started going motorsports. So, and I started to fall in love with it. So almost every event, I am at it. Every time at Bushy Park, I am at it. So I mean, yeah, I was partying, going to church, and partying and working. So it was work, party, and going to church.
30s, and this is the year of growing up. You are
Yeah.
now a man, a total man. You are everything that you went through in your childhood, your teenage years, or even your 20s has bring you to that decade, 30s of knowing yourself. How did the 30s start for you? And did you find things that you had to change your thinking about?
Wow, 30s now. I will always say this to anybody who is in their mid 20s. If you don't know your true friends by 30, 35, you will never know who's your true friends. And the 30s, whether people want to believe it or not, is when you really know who is in your corner. Because when you're 30s is when life, as you know it, totally change. You become, because of you get your 30s, you're more responsible for a lot of things, which let me rephrase it. Responsibility becomes more realistic.
Mhm.
And I know people have children in their 20s and they're there and they're at fairly young ages. But for me, God has blessed me to the point I'll have my children when I have already passed my party days. So for me now, I started partying when the economy started to get too tough because I couldn't maintain that party life. So in 2008, my partying seems to exist. Plus, two, I come to realization that partying wasn't the way how I partying wasn't the way how it was anymore for me. So those two things happen. But um, I was in a relationship in my 30s, which led to my first child. And that relationship was very, very dramatic for me on many scales than one. In fact, that relation, that what the events that happened lead me to be the person that I am now. Other than that, um, it also lead me to be more. What shall I say? When my daughter was born, to me, I became a man, and I cried when I first saw her. I felt that I felt the weight of responsibility literally on my shoulders because I have to be a shining example for this life that the Lord has given me to to help nurture and to grow. So I felt that responsibility on me. And with everything that's going that with her, I felt the burden of responsibility on me to nurture this child not only physically, mentally, but also spiritually. So it was like I tried to be the best father that I could be. In some quarters, I they will say that I am not that person, but most people that see, because those people that say I'm not have not seen, but those who have seen will say that I am a very, very, very great father. And
And that is very true.
um, there were things that I could get my daughter to do that other people couldn't get her to do. And my child never threw tantrums with me. Although she threw tantrums with other people, and other people come and tell me.
Mhm.
And for me, I kind of developed a relationship or understanding with my daughter. And I set my daughter, well, both my children, because I have two children, I set reasonable boundaries with both my children. I treat them the same way, even though that there is a boy and a girl. I don't treat one because one is the oldest or one is the middle child or the youngest child. I treat all the same way because fair is fair. I believe in being fair. So the same way how I treat the boy, I treat him the girl. So I believe in bending the tree while it was young. So when my daughter was young, I bent that tree till it understand that when it ain't that when you do the wrong thing, you know where you're getting. And I only today I realized that my son is getting into the hang of it because when I say, hey, you need to bend, he's ready to okay, okay. I pretty much try to be fair with all my children. And relationship wise, I went through most of my 30s in a very, very dark and depressive place because of certain things and that I did or certain things that I allowed because I thought I wasn't looking about I wasn't thinking about my own personal feelings. Many people would say that I should have done it. I did for my child. Then when it was about 35, I got married and I married a woman who I met in my early 20s. We became, although we was in a relationship then, it didn't work because that person actually lived overseas. And even though that she broke it up, we still remain very, very good friends. Even to this day, we are married. I consider her to be one of my best friend. And even though that I just get on her case, and she did get on the case, I love that woman to the end. So much so that I left everything that I knew and love for her. So that's pretty much me now in my 30s, throughout my whole life.
And we could see that you can have a love at your teenage and you could grow apart, you can move, but sometimes you might find your old flame. You don't have to say your age, you can say around it, but what age are you?
Well, I give me 93 this year. Oh Lord. And yeah, in the next couple months too, will give me 93. Um, I there are a lot of things that happen in my life that I tell myself that I just gotta ask myself what's my purpose here in this life. There are many times that I could have drowned, and I nearly drowned at least twice, and I was in some car accidents that was averted that up to now I don't know how that I ain't dead. But there are times that I have to ask myself, what is my purpose here? And because the last time that I nearly drowned, if it didn't save my if I didn't listen to that voice, I would not be here talking to you all right now. I was swimming on Bronze Beach. I went out to the boats and when it was coming back in. And mind you, this is when Bronze Beach ain't had no lifeguards.
Oh, that's long.
Bronze Beach ain't had no lifeguard station whatsoever. When it was swimming coming back in, when all those monorails was nibbling at my body, my chest catch cramp and I started panic. And I started to go down. And I could picture it. I panicking. I see in the bottom And all I telling myself is, I dead into there. I gonna drown. And a voice in my head just said, Dave, relax. And I fighting and they said, Dave, relax. And I just relax. I keep calm and I just float right back up to the surface. Turn over upon my back and just backstroke it in without using my feet. So for those who find themselves drowning, please do not panic. Just try to relax. It will save your life.
We are going to go into a little game. We're going to change directions. I hope you, Dave, will play fair.
Are you about fairness? I don't steal. I don't cheat. I
So
don't
I'm going to
cheat.
ask you some questions, and I know from school is 20 something years we know each other. I know you was and is a opinionated man.
What?
You value your opinion. So the first question,
Uh-huh.
the first question is, are you usually the first person to say sorry?
Of course. First and only person too. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, for me, I just, well, yes, I would say sorry to done the conversation.
People tell me that I say sorry too much.
Well, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I do it to done the conversation. What do you argue about the most?
Why argue about the most now? I argue about a variety of subjects.
But the
And
most, the most.
I will say football. 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 Sport. Well, sports in general. Sports in general. Let me just say sports in general.
Um, what I argue about most, I don't really argue, although my husband would say otherwise, but time. Time is the same thing from my whole life. I hate being late. So,
Mm.
so it,
Mm.
that is what I argue about lateness.
I
So
did with say something else, but okay. No problem.
you, you see, that's when people know you too good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I did with say something else, but carry on, carry on, carry on.
Okay, who is the smartest between us?
I don't know. No, I don't care. Because yeah, they we go learn from each other.
Of course, you will say that.
Because yeah, there are things that I could do that you can't do.
Very true.
And
Very
there are
true.
things that you could do that I can't do.
That
So
is more true.
so we go call it tie. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
this this one. Who is the most attractive?
I ugly already, so not for you. I tell anybody so I ugly. I'm not good looking.
And he knows that is a lie.
I got a good heart, but I ugly outside.
He knows that is not true because he knows from school everyone, well, not everyone, because I was not interested to look at any boys at school, but I know him to be a handsome man and a handsome boy growing up. But
You know
of
the job,
course,
man.
of course, right now I am the most attractive. Thank you very
Then
much. Thank you
I
very much.
pass. I pass.
And this and this last question: what was the worst influence in your life? Not who, what?
Wow. The worst influence in my life will have to be the best influence in my life, which will be my good nature. People, the person that hurt me the most in my life always say that told me that I was too nice. And I never ever realized it till when things start to fall apart. So my good, nice, kind nature is my biggest, my worst influence in my life.
Okay. Um, that's a deep question. Uh, for me, I don't think anything is a bad influence. You learn from every situation. So whatever will come in your life, and it be something bad, you're going to learn from it, or you're supposed to learn from it. So I can't say it was a bad a bad influence, because I can't say that anything influenced me to do anything. Yeah, nothing. No. Yeah, there is nothing in life that influenced me to do anything. So so you hear his opinions about certain things.
Yeah.
So can you share now a embarrassing moment?
Sure, boy. You want one that clean or you want one that good? That not clean, cause
Of course, cling.
well, one of my most embarrassing moments was it was also funny too. And I went to this function at church and they had, we all the servers, we sit together and a guy, a youngster, he came back from over in area and he was sitting among us. So we was like talking and somebody was passing that I didn't like. And I said, I don't like this person. And the guy was telling me, but that's his grandfather.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And then they
Yeah.
just had this long eerie silence. And they just said, man, he's a good man, yeah. And everybody knew that table started to keep a whole heap of noise. Everybody bustled with laughter. People start everybody in the area just start to look around like what really going on. Everybody just dispersing, and when everybody come back, everybody did use something else, boy. Use something else.
You were caught, and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
really is embarrassing.
yeah. But my close friends will always say there's never a dull moment when I'm around. I will say something. I will probably do something, that would just make everybody laugh. I would embarrass myself to make people laugh. My friends will always tell me. So yeah, yeah.
So you heard about um Dave and his life, all the different things that he went through, and all the strides that he made in his life to be a better man, a better father, and a better husband. So, Dave, what advice do you have for men, especially who have to grow up, and especially some of those men who do not have a father? I know you had your father, but talk to those men that do not have a father.
The challenge for men is is that if you don't have good if you don't have good stable people that you could say, well, I would like to be like that person, then you can get good from bad. If you don't have good influences in your life, then how will you know what's good from bad? So you always gotta go on foundation. For me in my life, I always had bad and good, and like my golden rule when it was working, I don't drink alcohol while I working because I seen when guys that my father hired used to drink on the job what they used to do, and I said that I don't want to be like that. So if you don't know what is right from wrong, or you don't have the idea what's right from wrong, then I will always say try to find good, wholesome people. I'm not saying perfect people. I'm saying good people that you could call upon to give you an idea of the way forward. Because the easiest way is easy for anybody to do bad, but it's very difficult for people to do good all of the time. So look for good, wholesome people that you could inspire to be. In life, you will experience things which will bring you to your knees. And I mean, you'll be so depressed that you don't know what to do or how to get yourself from these feelings, these dark feelings. And I will always tell people that when I was going through my issues is that I know that I'm down now, but I will always get back on top. And for me, I choose writing. And I start to write and start to share my writings with people who who was going through even worse situations than me. But I try to help people. I try to let people understand that no matter what situation you're going through, you always get over it once you keep on being positive and having a positive frame of mind. So with that, anytime you are being positive, if you being depressed and you can't find a way out, never ever put your issues, don't never ever put your burdens on other people. Try to uplift each other. Even though you're down, doesn't mean you gotta pull down somebody with you. If you pull up somebody, you will pull up yourself, or that person will pull you up. Always try to be positive. Always try to to make yourself feel better because the end of the day, no one can do it but you. So continue to whatever situation you're going through, continue to be positive. Continue to say to yourself, I am done now, but I will always rise up on top.
Amen. We come to the end of the show. We want to thank you, Dave, for taking your time to be on the show and share about your own life and to encourage other people around the world. Thank you, viewer, for listening to Dave and being blessed. So, till we meet again, bye bye.
Bye bye.